Part 45. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 446. Chapter 446 Exploring Ancient Dongfu. Among the cultivator escape light behind heavenly silkworm Reverend Qing Lingzi and Reverend Feng Xiaoran, there is a white rainbow flying at least 2 or 3 times faster than the rest of the escape light. The power is amazing. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. At a closer look, this white rainbow is a white sword light. From the perspective of Qing Lingzi and Feng Xiaoran, the cultivator with the sword light is not only the name cultivator, but also the cultivation base. They are under the golden core stage great treasure cultivator. After looking back at this Xuanhuan, heavenly silkworm Reverend Qing Lingzi's hands and feet did not dare to stop. After the hundreds of white-black ice icicles that were taken out stood on the ground, a piece of true yuan kept coming out of his hands and poured it into a white icicle of ice. After each icicle great treasure has been subjected to true yuan's attention for a dozen breath times, it is like a candle is lit, and the surface of the whole icicle blooms with dazzling white light. A stalk of ice is extremely cold. Every icicle is almost 2 or 3 feet apart. As the last icicle is lighted up, heavenly silkworm Reverend Qing Lingzi is also a serious loss of true yuan. Gas, immediately took out several copies of true yuan's medicine pill and swallowed it. The white chills emanating from these icicles all became one piece, which made a white light curtain on the ground hundreds of feet in front of Qing Lingzi and Feng Xiaoran. All the white icicles were seen in the white light curtain. Not coming out. After swallowing several copies of true yuan's medicine pill, heavenly silkworm Reverend immediately took a handful of strokes and pinched a shapeshift great art, dozens of snow-white but flower-like white brilliance, condensed in front of him, fell into the white light curtain below. Immediately in the white light curtain below, a layer of crystal-like transparent brilliance emerged. When you look closely, there are numerous transparent eye silks out there. At the completion of the step, the swarming monster beast great treasure group is less than 600 feet away from the 2 golden core cultivators. Qing Lingzi Sr. Feng Seniors. At the same time, there are 6 or 70 cultivators flying fast, and they have already arrived behind the 2 golden core cultivators. After saying hello to the 2 golden core cultivators, they are all as great treasures. Each of them sacrificed the shapeshift great art. My icy cold light is not afraid of the bombardment of the ice shift shapeshift great art, but it is less resistant to the thunder attribute shapeshift great art. If there is a thunder attribute monster beast to attack this array, please ask fellow deist to intercept it first. Qing Lingzi looked at the front and immediately intercourse. Just between the words, a blue-shirt middle-aged cultivator in the rear, but also inspired a lot of array flag, arranged a shapeshift great art array, formed a blue mask shrouded in 100 feet, will come to this first all 67 cultivators were guarded inside. Just in a blink of an eye, there are a lot of cultivators coming, or using Qing Lingzi's hail cold light as the first line of defense, with various shapeshift great art pieces on the back, or on both sides of the hail cold light array. Arrange the shapeshift great art array. Restrictions. Seeing a great treasure, the fast-paced monster beast is only about 300 feet away from the ice-cold array. Qing Lingzi hands down, 2 white light beams rushing out of his hand, hitting the white under the front. In the light curtain. Immediately, the numerous transparent eye silks that permeated the white light curtains kept coming out and were cut back in front of them. At least 30 monster beasts were cut into pieces by these transparent eye silks at once, and even a little blood donation did not come out on the pieces, all of which were frozen by a thick layer of ice white butt. Bang, a surging sound, dwarf Taoist Feng Xiaoran at the same time stimulate the hands of the ice blue jade talisman, saw this jade talisman ash, while countless waves of ice blue splendid ID light into the sky, but in the sky formed a great treasure group strange ice blue cloud, a strip of 2 feet long, cone-shaped ice ribs generally rain from the clouds inside constantly falling. Dang! At the same time, Feng Xiaoran opened the mouth and spewed a purple glow on the white bell that had been suspended in front of him. This little bell is the shapeshift great art great treasure that Ming Lingzi lends to him. From the lust shape that is inspired by the moment, this white small clock is very unique and seems to rely on golden core sunlight powerful energy to be excited. Only golden core stage great treasure cultivator can controls. At this time, one was excited, and a surging sound seemed to be a dragon's owl, and it seemed to be like other ancient dragons. It sounded at an alarming speed with a layer of visible sound waves. At least half of the dense monsters that flew in the air heard the sound of the surging sound. They were all naked and somewhat dull. They had a lot of lower-level monster beasts and even lost directly. The control was general and fell directly from the air. Chi! 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 The rushing monster beast group is not only weak, but bursts of hundreds of different flames. The strangulation between heaven cultivating city and the great treasure of the monster beast, officially kicked off. Fellow deist, be careful, this 7 fiend fire phoenix and soul devouring ape are dealt with by me and green fellow deist you are responsible for dealing with other monster beasts. A surging sound of the gnome Taoist Feng Xiaoran is clearly spread in the various surging sounds of shapeshift great art. I saw the fist of the giant treasure on the small cyan beads in front of him, emitting a puffy cyan brilliance, forming a cyan mask, while maintaining the white small clock kept swaying while he was in front of him. I don't know when it started, but there is another disillusioned red on. After the sound of this surging sound, the gnome Taoist figure flashed upwards and slammed into the top, and suddenly shot into the rolling black chi of the great treasure group. Immediately within black chi, there was a surging sound and a thundering surging sound. At the same time, Qing Lingzi is also a glimmer of light in the eyes. The numerous transparent ice silks that emerged from the cold ice arrays have gathered together to form a 3-footed ice sword, one toward the front. The blazing red light of the group came out. Among the blazing red lights, it was the Ponte great treasure monster beast, 7 fiend fire phoenix. Seeing these ice swords inspired by Qing Lingzi, this 7 fiend fire phoenix raised its monster core directly. I saw that the monster core of this monster beast is also very terrifying. It turned out to be a man-like great treasure, covered with a black-red pattern and looks like a magma condense ball. And this monster core was released, and immediately there was a piece of hot red Dan liquid. Pay papa pa. With this Dan liquid touch, the ice sword inspired by the cold ice array bursts open and becomes a group of white air. For a time, a white air directly enveloped a few miles. The black shadow inside the white gas is heavily, and the brilliance of the various colors does not go out. At least at this moment, there are already thousands of cultivators and the monster beast. Hong. After only a dozen breaths, the top is also covered by at least a few hundred feet of black chi, a surging sound heaven shaking's great treasure. Saw the dwarf Taoist priest Feng Xiaoran seems to be defeated general, the cyan light cover was covered with cracks, from black chi to fly out, and a body more than he did not know how many times the dark giant ape, in the rolling out of the black and white show a ferocious figure, suspended in front of the paint black monster core, but also rushed out of a cloak of black brilliance, toward the dwarf monk pressed past. But the face of the gnome Taoist Feng Xiaoran was not a shocked look. I saw it at this time, an amazing white rainbow suddenly flashed from the left rear without any warning, squatting on the black giant python, and suddenly one arm of the black giant python was born. Cut it down. Immediately, a red man spurt out in the hands of Feng Xiaoran, blocking the black brilliance of the black giant monster core. And this black giant python has just turned around, a pair of want to escape, the amazing white rainbow and a powerful energy completely do not lose the white rainbow green rainbow, continuously squatting on its neck on. Ka. In a surging sound of the skeletal break, this amazing monster beast has a surging sound screaming, half of the skull was smashed over the neck, and the naked body of Pang great treasure swayed. I will plant it down later. A cultivator wearing a white but white shapeshift great art suit appeared on the left rear of the monster beast. The cultivator looks spotless, and the white spiritual chi, which is emitted from the body, forms a willow-like shape. It looks like a 40-year-old, handsome, but it is a somewhat unsmiling old-fashioned look. The white rainbow is a white flying sword with a cloud-like rune on a sword. It is 7 feet long, while the green rainbow is a snake-like green short sword, only 1 foot long. At this moment, the white flying sword is at the foot of the cultivator, while the green dagger is hovering around the body. Obviously, this cultivator is also a sword with some kind of double flying sword. Its ability to attack and defend is much better than the general sword cultivator. After showing the figure, the old-fashioned cultivator wearing a white but white shapeshift great art clothing said the word equal to Feng Xiaoran, and then directly dropped the black giant python that had fallen into the treasure. Receiving pocket. It seems that this cultivator is not only an old-fashioned face, but even a normal speech, it is not like to say more, can say less than 1 word and say less. Feng Xiaoran didn't say much, but after simply nodding his head, the 2 cultivators rushed toward the blazing red light in front. But at this time, let the 2 cultivators suddenly stunned, and the face was stunned. In the sky behind the 7 fiend fire phoenix, which was deadlocked with Qing Lingzi, a sudden appeared. Yellow cloud. This yellow cloud exudes a strong smell of scent. All the cultivators along the way are rushing to escape, and the cultivator that escapes the speed is just overwhelmed by the yellow cloud. Surging sound has no interest. Fellow deist by Feng fellow deist. What to do? This rotten corpse star arrives, the 3 of us can't resist it, this secret place is definitely unstoppable. At this moment, Qing Lingzi, who is fully motivated by the cold ice array, also issued a great treasure of surging sound. Feng Xiaoran's eyes flashed sharply. We are here for a moment, letting the rest of the cultivator begin to withdraw to heaven cultivating city. No, cloud predecessors, but the white clothes cultivator suddenly interrupted Feng Xiaoran's words, and said the 5 words very simply. These 5 words may not be able to know the meaning of it at all, but Feng Xiaoran and Qing Lingzi turned around and looked at it, but they all cheered up. At this moment, a group of blue, red, and white glare glows from the direction of heaven cultivating city. Old man, what did you say at the time of your great treasure, the famous reverend, should it be the secret place? Just outside heaven cultivating city, it may be nearly 30 years, the most great treasure scale cultivator and monster beast battle on heavenly profound continent, the rest of the great treasure most cities, but nothing at all. At the moment, Weisuo was in the sky above several grassy mountains covered with grass, and looked suspiciously at the rocky mountains below. Why, I still lie to you, green-robed old man's surging sound also immediately rang. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 447. Chapter 447. Wait a moment. After hearing the words of green-robed old man, Weisuo did not say anything, and descended toward a gentle hillside below. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. After landing on the ground, Weisuo reached for a shot on a slave bag, but took the squirrel-looking red beast bought in Myriad Tomb City and put it on the ground. The red squirrel looks like a squirrel with 2 spirals on both sides of the mouth. The breath on the body is not very strong. It seems that the rank is not high, and there is no ability to fly, but the action is quicker. After being placed on the ground by Weisuo, the red little beast sniffed and ran in one direction. Weisuo immediately followed up and kept the distance between the red beast and the red beast more than 20 feet. After a while rushing, this red little beast disappeared in a seemingly bland hillside, as if it had melted into the air. Upon seeing this scene, green-robed old man's proud surging sound immediately rang in Weisuo's ear. The shadow shift great art of Reverend's blind eye is still working. Shapeshift great art doesn't work. It doesn't matter. The key is whether there are any good things going down. Good things don't work. Wei Suo was very wretched after he smiled, but he kept his hands and feet, took out a pack of blue powder, wrapped it with true yuan, and sprinkled it evenly. As soon as these blue powders sprinkled, 6 tiny blue lights appeared on the hillside in front of them. It seems that the band is completely transparent, but now it is dyed with the color of the blue powder. On the hillside below the 6 light belts, there is a deep trench. These 6 trenches are all bottomless, but in each of the trenches, there is a cluster of willow-like green brilliance, which is very strange. Hurry up, this blue enamel powder can only maintain a stick of incense time for this shapeshift great art array. If you can't break this line in a stick of incense time, you'll want to find shapeshift great art to find a pack of blue enamel powder to get a clear idea of which one is the real entrance. Seeing that Wei Suo was still a very interesting and looking look, green-robed old man immediately hesitated. A surging sound. No problem, my movements have always been fast. Wei Suo haha smiled and waved, but he presented the shapeshift great art great treasure that could inspire the golden lion's head lightning. As he joined True Yuan's attention, this golden shapeshift great art great treasure put on a golden treasure, a surging sound, a giant great treasure's thunder light beam directly to a bombardment of the 6 trenches go in. Pa! A surging sound violently slammed, and I saw a group of green light slamming in the trench. The green light disappeared a lot. When Wei Suo was about to inspire this golden shapeshift great art great treasure again, suddenly it was a wrinkle and a look of surprise in his eyes. In the other trench next to it, suddenly a pale yellow brilliance rose. Just under the flash, it turned out to be a cultivator wearing a goose yellow shapeshift great art. The cultivator wearing a goose yellow shapeshift great art suit is very tall, dashing eyebrows star, looks only 27 years old, turned out to be a rare beautiful man. The goose yellow shapeshift great art on his body looks very gorgeous, with many light silver stars in the rune. Black hair is also tied to the head with a creamy jade ring. Wei Suo aura determining technique swiftly found that the cultivator is a cultivator of the thought division realm 5th layer, but it should be the late stage of the thought division realm 5th layer. At the age of this cultivator, the entry of such a cultivation base is already quite amazing. Wait a moment. At first glance at Wei Suo, the handsome cultivator changed his face and waited for Wei Suo to speak, but suddenly it came out. Then there was a flash of light, and suddenly it sank into the trench below. Great treasure. After about a dozen breaths, the handsome cultivator that Wei Suo couldn't figure out was flashed out. You are who? Actually came to bombard my cave this time. After the appearance of the original shadow, the cultivator immediately accused Wei Suo of accusing sound. You're Dongfu, green-robed old man, and Wei Suo suddenly got a little bit stunned. It turns out that this secret place is a secret place outside Heaven's Dome in heavenly profound continent. Green-robed old man has long planned to let Wei Suo explore and see if you can get some secret place. This secret place is a cave house called the Golden Core Stage Great Treasure Cultivator of Miao Dan Reverend. While Miao Dan Reverend was famous at the time of green-robed old man great alchemist, and Dao Rank's medicine pill was casual. And there is a divine Yuan ginseng medicinal cauldron in the cave house, which is made from the gods who can enhance the cultivation base. Even if this MT Reverend has no other high-level medicine pill and shapeshift great art great treasure stays, this is the rare great treasure of this god. And green-robed old man has a generation of master who has had an intercourse lust with this wonderful Reverend, and once came to the cave of Reverend. So green-robed old man is very clear about the direction of the cave treasure and the incoming shapeshift great art. This secret place seems to be very safe in green-robed old man, and it is very likely that there is a place where great treasure can be used for the secret place. So now Wei Suo's cultivation base is enough lust, green-robed old man is the first. It is the secret place that brought him to explore. But he and Wei Suo didn't even think of it. In this cave of Reverend, there would be such a cultivator. Why, I am coming out inside, this is not my Dongfu, is it still yours? In the suspicious eyes of Wei Suo, I saw the handsome cultivator licking his hair and watching Wei Suo turn over the roll one's eyes. But I found it in a classic. This secret place is a cave house called Ancient Cultivator of Miao Dan. Reverend Wei Suo looked at the handsome cultivator and said, I see you are just one step ahead of me. This, the handsome cultivator groaned, but immediately turned over the roll. One's eyes, even if it is an ancient Dongfu, it is also a good thing. I am of course my own. Who said, I have only heard of this kind of ancient ruin, and I have a share. Wei Suo he smiled. I said the fellow deist, and I took the good things out there. You are dreaming, anyway. I remind you to go away quickly, don't bombard my cave, otherwise, don't blame me for being polite to you. The handsome cultivator looked like a dismissive gesture and made a wave of gestures. You're welcome. I really want to see how you can treat shapeshift great art to me. Wei Suo he smiled, and a pair of people must be divided. To refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then let you see my power. The handsome cultivator glanced at Wei Suo, while his hands were a little, and two silver lights shot at the same time to Wei Suo. OM. Wei Suo did not move. The surging sound color directly to the door. Flying sword, under the golden magnificent light flashes, a surging sound of dang, two silver lights were knocked out and flew out. It is a small silver bell with a raised pattern on the surface that looks very beautiful. What is your shapeshift great art, great treasure, so powerful? Seeing that my two small silver bells were directly hit back, the handsome cultivator suddenly had a great treasure, and it was incredible. This shapeshift great art, great treasure is called Screw Your Sister. The powerful energy of my shapeshift great art, great treasure is extremely powerful. The only weakness is that it can't turn. Seeing this, handsome cultivator did not seem to have heard of his own deeds. Wei Suo he smiled and said deliberately. You can't turn, you still want to get me, waste. The handsome cultivator immediately looked contemptuous, but before he finished, he saw that the flying sword suddenly flew to his doorboard and suddenly stalked from the other side. Good for you, a shameless guy, actually lie to me. You also said that shapeshift great art, great treasure can't turn. Haha, only a fool will opponent what to say and believe. Wei Suo sang the handsome cultivator with the flying sword on the door, while continuing to inspire the golden shapeshift great art, great treasure, condensing a thunder light, continually slamming into the trench that the handsome cultivator plucked. The shapeshift great art array of Reverend is the only thunder attribute shapeshift great art, great treasure with great treasure power. Give me. At first glance, Wei Suo, no matter what, first broke the shape of this protector shapeshift great art. The handsome cultivator reached out and presented a colorful peacock-like feather shift great art, great treasure. What surprised Wei Suo was that this shapeshift great art, great treasure came out and immediately evoked a circle of colorful apertures, covering his flying sword. And his flying sword suddenly seemed to be frozen, staying in the air and not moving. Pu. Seeing this lust scene, Wei Suo reached out and immediately shot a Lingzi-like antiquity ominous fire towards the handsome cultivator. I felt the powerful energy of antiquity ominous fire. The handsome cultivator immediately changed color on his face. A white mask appeared outside his body. At the same time, a silver square shield immediately appeared in front of him. Pa! The outer white divine light screen ruptured without any resistance, but after the silver square shield slammed, it resisted the antiquity ominous fire, but the entire shield was burned. Dark red. Wait. At this time, the handsome cultivator suddenly waved his hand, and great treasure called a surging sound. What are you doing? Wei Suo originally thought that this guy felt that he couldn't ask for a deal, but what made him stunned was that the handsome cultivator wiped his face and patted his shapeshift great art. After cleaning up the black marks on the face and the body of the shapeshift great art, which was smoked by Wei Suo antiquity ominous fire, the handsome cultivator waved again. Okay, then immediately turned a white light and called Wei Suo. You call me and so on, just to shoot off the black ash, while Wei Suo ignited a cocky divine light screen. It was a bit of a laugh. Crap, I am so handsome, so stained with such black ash, it is not ugly to die. The cultivator took it for granted. Then let me wait for a moment at the beginning, come in and go in again, then come out again, what are you doing? Wei Suo turned over the roll one's eyes and couldn't help but ask. The hair is too messy, go in and sort it out, the cultivator replied to some of the folds on his shapeshift great art suit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 448. Chapter 448 Really Old People. Wei Suo almost fell to the ground. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. To be honest, he has seen a lot of handsome cultivators, but when he is fighting the shapeshift great art, he has to stop and sort out his appearance. Such a singular and handsome cultivator, he is really the first time he encountered. After shaking his head silently, Wei Suo reached out and directly inspired the Black Bone Dark Lord. A surging sound of pa. I saw Wei Suo igniting an antiquity ominous fire, and the black light column inspired by the Black Bone Dark Lord hit the shield in front of the handsome cultivator. This silver shield was directly beaten. Wait a moment, don't fight, not your opponent. The handsome cultivator blocked it by the shield, and finally took the opportunity to flash more than 10 feet. He escaped the Wei Suo attack and his face was white. Your shapeshift great art great treasure is too strange, just like you are a helper, but you have a helping hand, can I not help? You wait for me to call my helper, you will be miserable. Here Wei Suo certainly thinks that this handsome cultivator must be completely surrendered, but let him almost fall to the ground, this handsome cultivator actually said such a thing, and at the same time inspired a red in the sky light column. A surging sound of peng, the red column of light blasted in the sky, actually formed a round shape, like a red paint treasure of the red medicine pill-like flame, and did not dissipate for a while. At this time, the handsome cultivator actually took out a white pipa and rubbed it on his face. Just 1 or 2 breaths, a yellow escape light, quickly rushed toward this secret place. Originally, Wei Suo was ready to help the handsome cultivator who was screaming, and continued to use the golden shapeshift great art great treasure to bombard the shapeshift great art in the lower trench, but with a glimpse of it, I saw the yellow escape. The cultivator in the light, he is slightly bowed. The yellow escape light is a brilliance of a topaz-like squid shapeshift great art great treasure, and a standing squid-shaped feather shift great art great treasure. The cultivator is short and chunky, wearing a crested cyan robes, but it is normal, but Wei Suo's eyes are swept away, but it creates a feeling that he must have seen this person. Shi-feking, what happened? Far away, this chunky cultivator issued a surging sound. It's him. Upon hearing this surging sound, and seeing the face of this chunky cultivator, it was very clear that Wei Suo suddenly remembered where the man himself had seen. This chunky cultivator is not the first time that he and Zhu Xiaochun, Zhen Chongming and others met, and when they went to kill twin-headed canine, the one who knew the hidden and cumbersome cultivator that taught me to hide. I can't think of it here, but I met another old man, and if Wei Suo remembers it well, the name cultivator is also called Zhang, which is called Zhang's Huayu. And this chunky cultivator, at the beginning, but with his own sorrow, experienced the test of life and death, can be regarded as a trustworthy friend. When I came up with the fat cultivator, Wei Suo paused and stopped the Black Bone Dark Lord. Zhang great treasure brother, this person has banged our Dongfu and said that they have a share. The handsome cultivator came over and saw the chunky cultivator coming over, and suddenly excited, great treasure surging sound said. I said this fellow deist, we have been occupying this place for a long time, and we have spent a lot of effort on the layout, and the things inside are also used almost, there is really no good point. If you don't believe it, we can lead you in and see it. The chunky cultivator flew over and looked at Wei Suo while surging sound. Take me in, then use the restrictions inside to deal with me. Wei Suo deliberately does not move the sound of the sound. Why is this fellow deist saying shapeshift great art? Do you think that I am like an insidious villain who will do this kind of thing? The chunky cultivator is a serious one. Some people can't see it from the outside. Wei Suo looked at the chunky cultivator without a lust, saying, "Fellow deist is called Xuanhuan. How do you recognize me?" The chunky cultivator and the handsome cultivator suddenly groaned and couldn't help but glance at each other. "Xuanhuan, do you remember the twin-headed canine that year?" "The twin-headed canine thing has already been revealed," Wei Suo deliberately coldly said. "Impossible, no matter what sect, after so many years, I will remember the old things of this old sesame. Not to mention finding me." The chunky cultivator suddenly faced aboard and stared at Wei Suo. "Are you who?" "Haha, I don't know if fellow deist Zhang still remembers me." Wei Suo haha smiled and reached for a touch on his face, restoring his true colors. You are the cultivator with the black arrow, spirit rank, shapeshift, great art, great treasure." Zhang Zhuai looked at Wei Suo with a stunned look. Suddenly, she thought about what it was like. When her eyes lit up, she patted the great treasure legs and cried, "Yes, in Wei Suo, I thanked fellow deist Zhang and passed it on to us." Wei Suo smiled. "Zhang, great treasure brother, are you acquaintances? Then this frame is not to be played?" Handsome cultivator a dumbfounded look. "Of course, I don't have to fight, fellow deist Wei is intercourse lust with me." After Zhang Zhuai said the sentence, suddenly there was some doubts. "Wei Suo, fellow deist Wei, your name, how do I seem to have heard it recently?" "Really?" Wei Suo smiled and said nothing. "Wei Suo, domineering reverend." Zhang Zhuai suddenly shocked, and some incredulously called it, "Fellow deist Wei, you shouldn't make Star Convening Sect and Eastern Jade Paradise." The two high-level cultivator is almost completely annihilated. Even Reverend Diaosha and Huang Yazi are both in your hands, domineering reverend. "Haha, sorry, it's down." Wei Suo is very wretched haha and laughs. "You are actually domineering reverend." The handsome cultivator was obviously shocked. "Are you hiding the cultivation base with a latent concealment? In the beginning, you were just heavenly circuit realm cultivator. Now it is already condensed golden core, and divine ability is more than the cultivator of the general golden core second layer." Zhang Zhuai couldn't help but look at Wei Suo. "How can your cultivation enter the country so quickly?" "I just got some spicy herbs that can be quickly refining." Wei Suo looked at Zhang Zhuai before and after looking at it and smiled. "I don't know if fellow deist Zhang's current cultivation base is Thought Division 5th layer or Thought Division 4th layer. Your cultivation base is entering the country, but it is not slow." At this time, Wei Suo or a determining technique swept away. Zhang Zhuai's cultivation base is the Thought Division 4th layer, but he knows that Zhang Zhuai is also very wretched, and should hide the cultivation base with hidden shackles. To be honest, regardless of whether Zhang Zhuai is the Thought Division 5th layer or the Thought Division 4th layer, Wei Suo is very surprised, because the previous Zhang Zhuai's cultivation base is just like him. Wei Suo has many adventures in succession. In the case of lust, there is such a cultivation base. If there is a small opportunity, Zhang Zhuai can break through the Thought Division 1st layer and the speed of the culture is very fast. Thought Division 5th layer. Sure enough, Zhang Zhuai gave an answer that Wei Suo did not expect. "The reason why we have such an entry is because we discovered the secret place." Zhang Zhuai went on to say. "Don't Miao Dan reverend leave what is the medicine pill of heaven rank? According to the classical records I have read, even if I cut the revine of divine Yuan ginseng medicinal cauldron from reverend, it would not be so fast. However, if there is medicine pill of heaven rank, Miao Dan reverend must have taken it himself. How can it be left behind?" Wei Suo couldn't help but say something depressed. When he said this, green-robed old man was also depressed and screaming in Wei Suo's ears. "Miao Dan reverend divine Yuan ginseng medicinal cauldron is a god Yuan ginseng refining, and the spirit of the ginseng itself is comparable to heaven rank spiritual herb, but only to Thought Division 3rd layer above. True Yuan can be able to get the ginseng, and even if the Thought Division 3rd layer base can cultivation the ginseng, its the speed of fining is only more than 10 times that of the ordinary medicine pill of monster core refining. It is for this reason that green-robed old man has not taken Weisuo to this secret place to explore. After all, Weisuo didn't even have a thought division first layer. And this secret place has been thousands of miles away from Heaven's Dome. Weisuo was at the cultivation base of Heavenly Profound Continent, and it is not always possible to go back and forth. The classical records you saw are so detailed, and this is clearly stated in the secret place. It seems that we are lucky, and it happened that we found it earlier than you, otherwise we can't even drink the soup. Zhang Zhuayu haha smiled and said, but you don't know, Miao Dan Reverend really does not leave any medicine ranks medicine pill, the ancient pill recipe inside there is no great treasure with secret place, but he is in the final the failure, when the great treasure came, was placed in the divine Yuan ginseng medicinal cauldron with a few unknown stones. As a result, when we entered, the power of the god Yuan Ding Ding itself had been absorbed into the several stones. And the god Yuan Ding Ding itself has only become an ordinary medicine tripod. After the meal, Zhang Zhuayu looked at Weisuo and went on to say, we found that the medicine inside the medicine was very fast. Then we have been closing the culture in this secret place, and we have such a cultivation base. I'm furious. Actually, Reverend also made such a layout, and now divine Yuan ginseng medicinal cauldron is used by these two guys. I heard that Zhang Zhuayu said that green-robed old man was vomiting blood. Right, since you remember me, shouldn't you forget Feng Ziyu? At this time, Zhang Zhuayu asked Weisuo again. Of course remember, what? Weisuo nodded. Feng Ziyu also met when he hunted twin-headed canine, and he remembered clearly that Feng Ziyu was seriously injured at the time, but Zhang Zhuayu took him first. First come inside, Zhang Zhuayu clicked on the trench below and smiled, soon he should have arrived here too. There is still something lust waiting for you, just ask for your help. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 449. Chapter 449 Psychic Earth Mother. Psychic Earth Mother? There is actually a Psychic Earth Mother? Weisuo looked at the dark abyss in front and had a very curious look on his face. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. Looking alone from where he is, it seems that he is standing in front of an ordinary cliff, but from top to bottom, looking at the naked body, you can see that Weisuo is a deep place in the secret place of the central region. His opposite is also a steep mountain wall. And his rear, it seems that he was cut by a great treasure knife with a huge great treasure, and there is a horizontal squat. In the squat, there are more than 30 buildings of 2 or 3 stories of great treasure. We didn't know at the beginning. After we found out the secret place of Miaodan Reverend, we also went to the bottom of this ditch. The following is the same as an ordinary canyon. There is no more than a rock. What's different? But then I accidentally saw it once again. Zhang Zhuayu and the sly handsome cultivator who is dying are standing next to Weisuo's. Now Weisuo knows that this handsome cultivator is Shi Fiking, a former rogue cultivator from Fallen Moon City. At this moment, Zhang Zhuayu also looked down at the trench below. Psychic Earth Mother is a strange beast. It usually looks like a place, until it is old and dead, it should not be moved, so it should still be in this secret place. A secret place underground. Then you just said above, if you want me to help, it must be me. Why are you dealing with this Psychic Earth Mother? Weisuo looked at Zhang Zhuayu and Shi Fiking and said. Not bad. This level 7 monster beast, we all feel that there is a golden core stage cultivator in the field of insurance. I do not know if you have read the relevant records. This Psychic Earth Mother is very timid. If you eat a loss, it is no matter outside there are any good things, at least for a few decades in the underground to re-emerge. For decades, it's just a glimpse of the tens of thousands of years of monster beast. For our cultivator, none of them have such patience. Zhang Zhuayu nodded and said, we have always wanted to find a golden core cultivator to help. Now you have the help, of course it is best. I know some of this. I have only read the records on the classics. It is said that this psychic Earth Mother is a peaceful animal. The cultivator that kills psychic Earth Mother generally has no good results. Wei Suo said, "Are you really determined to hunt this monster beast?" This we have also checked some related classics. We speculate that this psychic Earth Mother is relatively mild, and it is rare. It is one of the few monster beasts that have a good impression of the cultivator and will not actively attack the cultivator. Many cultivators can't bear to kill this monster beast, so there is such a rumor. Zhang Zhuai smiled and said, "But when we talked about it, we still don't want to take risks. Don't kill this monster beast. Just set Shapeshift Great Art to cut a corner of it. Anyway, cutting some of its corners will not give it damage to the great treasure." The unique angle of Psychic Earth Mother is said to be able to use the secret place with the secret place of the culture Earth attribute of Shapeshift Great Art Cultivator. The power of the Earth attribute True UN can be enhanced by the Great Treasure. Use secret place. You two are not culture's Earth attribute Gong Shapeshift Great Art. Fengziu does not seem to be the Earth attribute Gong Shapeshift Great Art. What do you want to do with this Psychic Earth Mother? It's not that we want this Psychic Earth Mother's corner. I was at a Thought Division Realm Cultivator Intercourse meeting recently. I know that a Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator has a Wanyan red sperm on hand and takes it when it hits core formation. Can make Golden Core Great Treasure a lot, Shi Zhongqing explained. It's just that the other person is the contribution Earth attribute, Shapeshift Great Art, its name to upgrade its cultivation base and divine ability to use Great Treasure. Only then can intercourse change. I also learned at the intercourse this kind of news. I thought of the Psychic Earth Mother we saw under the trench. Xuanhuan Chi sperm. This is a good thing. Although it is only effective when condensing Golden Core, you don't need it, but for both Han Wei and Ji Ya, there is a secret treasure with secret place. If you kill them all, take the whole, and then we will take a little bit of this Psychic Earth Mother's corner to make Shapeshift Great Art, and change the scorpion. As soon as I heard Shi Zhongqing say, green-robed old man was very excited and called out in Wei Suo's ear. For the words of green-robed old man's periodic madness, Wei Suo was silent for a while. This ghost old man is still normal, very human, but when he encounters good things, he hates to have to take control of Sankai 21, killing everything, and robbing everything. How, brother, you are Golden Core cultivation base, look at our intercourse lust, pull. The brothers should be seeing that Wei Suo was speechless for a while. Zhang Zhuai thought that Wei Suo was afraid of getting into trouble and didn't want to do it. He immediately said it was wretched. If the great treasure is not over, we will change the red sperm and cut it for you. Reward. All right, Wei Suo nodded in agreement and agreed. This thing shouldn't be used for great treasure. Seeing Wei Suo's so simple look, Zhang Zhuai's depressed and surging sound swallowed his mouth. I said that you are so polite, you are not at all polite. This thing is useless to me, but for my other two friends there is a great treasure with secret place. Wei Suo haha smiled and said, since you have called my brother, we are still polite. Oh, then, when the red sperm is cut into 4 segments, Zhang Zhuai immediately made a decision, and he was afraid to say a few words later. Wei Suo would have to cut into 5 paragraphs. Who is the Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator? The red sperm is still not in his hands. When we don't get it, the red sperm has been cut into 5 or 6 segments. Wei Suo looked at Zhang Zhuai. And as far as I know, this Psychic Earth Mother is generally not quite coming out of the ground. Moreover, the speed of the bandits is amazing, and once they enter the soil, they will definitely not be able to catch up. What do you have to do, Shapeshift Great Art, to bring it out? That won't, we are inquiring. The Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator is still hanging such intercourse information. By the way, the Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator is Reverend Black Wolf, the name Rogue Cultivator. The name sounds a bit fierce, and people are not bad. There is still a word of mouth in the intercourse between rogue cultivators. Zhang Zhuai said, As for the side of the shapeshift great art, we are basically ready. Today, the old wind is going out to get the last batch of things that attract it. As long as it can be introduced into our arranged shapeshift great art array, it should be able to stop it for a while. It's up to you to see if you can cut it down a little bit. After the meal, Zhang Huai smiled and said, "The old wind still feels a little overwhelmed, so I have specially prepared a number of spicy herbs that are useful for this psychic Earth Mother. It should be enough to make up for the loss of a little bit of it. In the old words, this is equito to do business with it, buy it a little bit." Then we took the corner of it and changed the red sperm of Reverend Black Wolf. In this case, there is no problem. Wei Suo also smiled. Then sit inside and wait for the old wind to come back. After saying the sentence, Zhang Huai turned around and Wei Suo and Shi Fiking swept into a 3-story building. I saw the reverend of these caves. The great treasures are mostly made of a kind of fuchsia wood. The naked body exudes a touch of medicinal fragrance, although it has been for 2,000 or 3,000 years, but after 2,000 or 3,000 years, there was no damage at all, and there was no trace of corrosion and insects. And it may be alchemist's quirks. It seems to have a unique sense of lust for plants and trees. It doesn't like gold and iron. Zhang Huai and Wei Suo and Shi Fiking are in this pavilion. They are also made of gold and iron. No, almost all the furniture and furnishings are made of grass and wood. For example, all the tables and chairs are woven with a black rattan, which actually exudes a refreshing aroma. Great treasure. After chatting about 2 sticks of incense, Wei Suo and Zhang Huai and Shi Jiangqing were both happy and stood up. With a blue light, a green shirt cultivator appeared at the door. At first glance, in addition to Zhang Huai and Shi Jiangqing, there was actually one more person. The green shirt cultivator was obviously bowed, and there was a suspicious look on the face. "Old style, don't ask me, look carefully, don't you recognize this brother?" Not waiting for the name of the green shirt cultivator, Zhang Huai has already laughed. Haha. This fellow deist. The green shirt cultivator looked at Wei Suo for a moment, and suddenly there was a surprise in the eyes. "You are fellow deist G. It seems that the wind brother has not forgotten me." Wei Suo haha smiled and arched his hand. "But I don't remember when I told you what I called. Do you say that I am Ji Li?" The green shirt cultivator, of course, when hunting twin-headed canine, the cultivation base was almost the highest of several people in Fengxiao. "What is the wind that brought you here? I can't think of it again a few years ago, but I can meet again." Fengxiao was very excited and greeted him. Pressed Wei Suo's shoulders. "You told me that it was called Gli, so you have another real name." "Old style, you believe it or not, if I tell you his real name, you will definitely be scared." Zhang Huai he smiled and looked at Fengxiao. "Oh." Fengxiao's excited heart lust also calmed down slightly, with a smile. "Then tell me about it." "Then you can listen. His real name is Wei Suo." "Wei Suo." Fengxiao's smile suddenly stopped, and his eyes drummed. "Good, great treasure has only returned to God for a while, and I am looking at Wei Suo and Zhang Huai incredibly. Is it a single person, swaying Eastern Jade Paradise and star-convening sex-domineering Reverend Wei Suo?" Zhang Huai clicked on Shi Jiangqing. "I haven't tried it, but Shi Jiangqing, this guy tried it. I just yelled and called me back to help, but it scared me. So, Brother Wei, you have hidden the cultivation base. I can't think of the day, you have such an amazing opportunity." Fengxiao looked at Wei Suo and immediately gave amazed surging sound. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 450. Chapter 450. Seduce the Mother Earth. Is it here? Well done, can't see anything different. The apex novel is a novel. Wei Suo looked around and said to the 3 people like Zhang Huai. At this time, Wei Suo and Zhang Huai and others apparently have finished the old, standing in a valley of about 4 or 5 miles in a great treasure. There are ordinary weeping weeds in this valley, and it looks nothing surprising. This is of course, this underground essence metal, but I just made a hole outside the valley like a hamster, and then laid it out a little underground. Zhang Huayu said with some smugness. I told you that in order to get this psychic Earth Mother, we spent a lot of great treasure. Don't say anything else, Light said. This place is very fastidious. We have checked a lot of classical, found that this psychic Earth Mother activities of the farthest distance is not more than the 10 miles of its lair, and it is what the existing changes, to escape, will first fled into the underground 100 or 200 feet, then it runs down the ground to the place where it is close to its nest, and starts desperately running down. And this psychic Earth Mother is said to have 6 ears, and the grasping sound is more sensitive than the great treasure most monster beast. So in this valley I also arranged the soundproof shapeshift great art array, so that we don't have time when the ambush in the valley was discovered directly by it. When you and she faking intercourse, I still have a shapeshift great art array that hides the metal chi. The result is interrupted, but this shapeshift great art array is just a matter of stick of incense. Having said that, Zhang Huayu turned to look at Feng Xiao. Old style, if you feel that there is nothing wrong, you can start to arrange it now. Good. Feng Xiao smiled and took out a few pill bottles that looked like liquids, and looked at Wei Suo. Brother Wei, are you going to stay here to do something, or do you want to follow us? If you want to follow us, you have to wipe this liquid. This psychic Earth Mother is a bit timid. It's okay outside, the air is flowing, and our cultivator will quickly dissipate even if it leaves some smell, but if it is in the trench, the breath is not so easy to dissipate, if it is felt by it, and it will definitely not be able to lead it out. I have nothing to prepare, or go to see the fun with you. Wei Suo didn't think about it, he reached out and picked up a pill bottle. Although the corner of Psychic Earth Mother has no secret place for him, and the number of monster beasts of Psychic Earth Mother is extremely rare, it should not be against Psychic Earth Mother in the future, but as a cultivator, more insights, it is always a good thing. It is not too late, let's go. Feng Xiao some excited nodded, said such a sentence, he and Wei Suo is directly a pill bottle inside of the liquid medicine Run, evenly wrapped in his body, and she faking but think this kind of earthy smell full of liquid medicine may damage to his handsome heaven-shaking skin, so it is dead or alive, stay in this valley inside. This time, Wei Suo has also found that she faking is indeed a good place in other places, but it is smug to death, always feel that the cultivation base is not the best in the world, but handsome heaven-shaking. As a result, Wei Suo gave him a suggestion before he came out. He said that if a cultivator wants to be handsome, it must be cold and cool, but also know how to pose, not seeing this heavenly profound continent history. Handsome and famous cultivators are cold and cool, and they will pose. As a result, Wei Suo said that Shi Fiking was really excited. Wei Suo said that it makes sense. As a result, talking to them is a cold look. Many times, when talking, they are not facing each other. A side face. After seeing Feng Xiao and Wei Suo evenly wrapping the earthy smell of the liquid on his body, he plunged into the secret place trench where the Reverend Cave House was located. In a short time, Wei Suo and Feng Xiao have already landed at the bottom of the trench. The secret place trench feels like a great treasure. It is cracked when the earthquake is deep. The depth of the cave is just in the central region. From the bottom of the trench, it is not seen at all. Go to any building in Reverend Cave House. Although the width of the bottom is 6 or 7 feet, but because it is too far from the ground, there is a great sense of pressure at the bottom of the trench, and it is feared that the land on both sides will suddenly close. The ground at the bottom of the trench is fairly flat, and there are basically no plants, because the secret place of the trench entrance is covered by the shield of the sharpshift great art of Reverend, and there is nothing in the bottom of the ditch. It is still dry, just there are many rocks that seem to have collapsed for a long time. Anyway, if it wasn't for Zhang Huayu and others to tell Wei Suo, he would have decided that there would be a psychic Earth Mother lurking in a secret place below the ground. When Wei Suo looked at the lust shape at the bottom of the trench, I saw that Feng Xiao nodded to Wei Suo and made a gesture of not emitting a surging sound. Then he took out a jade box made of cold jade from his arms. Inside this very long, icy jade box, all of them are placed in a light cyan medicine pill. The surface of these medicine pills has a thick, crystal ice shell. As Feng Xiao reached out, 3 of these medicine pill flew up and gently placed him in a pile of rock below. Then Feng Xiao immediately flew up with Wei Suo to the top without a surging sound. The great treasure was placed about 1 or 2 places on the wall of the trench every 60 feet. After flying to the ground, Feng Xiao opened a cold jade box that looked more great treasure. The same medicine pill is placed inside this cold jade box, but the ice shell outside the medicine pill looks thicker. According to this, less than half an hour, Feng Xiao and Wei Suo have been reswept back into the valley where Xuanhuan and Shi Fiking are located. As soon as he fell to Xuanhuan and Shi Fiking, Xuanhuan nodded and nodded. In the grass around the 4 people, dozens of cyan beams of light were suddenly shot. Immediately, the figure of the 4 people disappeared out of thin air, and from the outside, the secret place of the 4 people's body was a messy bush. At this time, what Wei Suo and others did not know was that at the bottom of the trench below the Reverend Cave in Miaodan, a piece of ground suddenly moved and rolled up. A round, gray-black head, with a piece of dirt on top, exposed. After a short pause, the surrounding grounds all tumbling up. Even green-robed old man just heard that psychic Earth Mother, which had never been seen before, finally got out of the ground. This psychic Earth Mother looks strange. The whole look looks like an octopus without tentacles. The bulging head, the flat body, naked body is laid on the ground, and there are no hands and feet at all, and the whole body, naked body, is the same as the octopus. It looks soft, but the outer skin is very dry, not as soft as the octopus. Its naked body, great treasure, is about 2 feet long and wide. If you look from the far secret place, it is like a round gray-black straw hat lying on the ground. It's just on its head, it's strange to go, with a rhinoceros horn on the forehead. The great treasure is about 2 feet long. It's cocky, shiny, like agate, earth origin chi. The interest is extremely strong. Behind the head, there are actually 6 small ears in a circle. There is no nose in front, only 2 small black eyes. Generally speaking, it is the level 7 monster beast, which is the level 6 monster beast. The first feeling is sure to be very terrifying and ferocious, but the face of the level 7 mid-level psychic Earth Mother is instead, it gives a feeling of being cute and funny. Other high-level monster beast, it's definitely a look of arrogance, even if there are many cultivators present. As long as there is no such cultivation base and strength is too much, let it feel like you want to breathe. The existence of being killed will definitely be Chi Flame's arrogance. But this monster beast, after showing up, is 2 eyes sloppy, looks like a ghost, like a mouse, extremely timid. After a sneak peek for a while, the psychic Earth Mother floated cautiously and fell into the shard of 3 secret cyan medicine pill in the secret place. I didn't see any movements. The 3 outer ice shells had already melted away from the cyan medicine pill, and it seemed to be sucked directly under the belly of this psychic Earth Mother and was eaten directly. Hey! When the 3 medicine pills were eaten, the psychic Earth Mother was obviously shocked, a very delicious look, and a strange extra-sounding surging sound. Then, the psychic Earth Mother floated up. Go up. Every 5 or 60 feet stopped, but it was very exciting to eat Feng Xiao all the way to the cyan medicine pill, slowly drifting out of the trench, and then attracted all the way, toward the valley where Wei Suo and others ambush forward. Look at this look, although it is not low-minded, but it still does not seem to think like a cultivator. I don't think how to have this medicine pill all the way. I don't think this is the trap that cultivator arranges to seduce it. This psychic Earth Mother was all cautious and not fast, so after a long time, the psychic Earth Mother came to the valley where Wei Suo and others were ambushing. Hey! When I arrived outside the secret place valley, the psychic Earth Mother paused for a moment and looked back at the back. It seemed to be calculating how far away she was from her own nest, and also from time to time. Look at the two sentences. But after looking at the valley for a few more times, the psychic Earth Mother couldn't stand the temptation, and made up her mind to drift into the valley. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 451. Chapter 451. Coming. This is Psychic Earth Mother. It looks like this Vertex Novels hit the novel. At this time, Wei Suo and Feng Xiao and others were holding their breath and watching the Psychic Earth Mother motionless. I saw this seemingly sneaky Psychic Earth Mother immediately sending out the excited surging sound, so that the ground in front of it, that is, the central part of the valley, not only has more than 10 that science medicine pill, and there are more than a dozen different other artificial herbs. After screaming a few surging sound children, the Psychic Earth Mother rushed to the pile of things, and it seemed that it swallowed the mouth of these spicy herbs, which should indeed be on the belly below its head. Seeing such a lust scene, Zhang Huaiyu and Wei Suo and others looked at each other and immediately reached out. The yellow light flashed on the hand and a yellow array flag appeared. With a slap in the air, a yellow light curtain suddenly burst into the air, covering the small half of the valley where Psychic Earth Mother is located. At the same time, Feng Xiao reached out and presented a golden-colored shapeshift great art great treasure, a golden talisman that also appeared in the hands of Shi Fiking. Wei Suo, however, moved his hands and moved the Black Bone Dark Lord, shapeshift great art and mind-devouring bug directly. Hey! At the moment when the yellow light curtain formed, Psychic Earth Mother suddenly found out that it was not good, issued a surging sound. After a very scary rush called surging sound, its entire naked body surface showed a circle. The black-gray brilliance forms a dark gray mask outside its body. And this timid monster beast did not want to intercourse with Wei Suo etal, and the whole naked body quickly fell down the ground. Seeing this lust scene, Wei Suo and Shi Fiking didn't do anything, just a flash of light, plunging directly above the monster beast. On the face of Feng Xiao, there was a faint blush, and as his true Yuan sneaked in, he floated in front of him in the blended golden-shaped great art great treasure, but it kept flowing. A strip of black light, the cover fell on Psychic Earth Mother. Psychic Earth Mother's falling body is obviously slower. It seems that the black light on Feng Xiao's shapeshift great art great treasure seems to have a great treasure. If you change some of the less powerful monster beast or shapeshift great art, you may be directly sucked into the front of the mixed golden circle by these black light. But I saw this Psychic Earth Mother brute force, just a blink of an eye, or just drilled the shadows and disappeared. Only that piece of black light is still attached to it. But look at the lust shape of the black light powerful energy, and with just a few breaths, these black lights will be completely freed by this Psychic Earth Mother. Boom. /p. But just at this time, the ground below, seems to have a surging sound. At the same time, Shi Fiking's face was so cool that he had inspired the golden talisman that had been in his hand for a long time. This piece gives the impression that essence metal refining the slap giant treasure small talisman immediately turned into thousands of golden gold lines, and shot into the place where the secret place surging sound sounded. Ka. A surging sound burst, only to see the ground within the range of hundreds of feet that was injected by the gold wire. It hardened and shattered as if it had become a mixture of essence metal solution and mud. Eisuo, it up to you, /p. Zhang Huaiyu is immediately a surging sound, the yellow array flag in the hand, the yellow mask that originally enveloped this secret place is also filled with an inexplicable suction, which is actually hard to crack the piece. Every piece has hundreds of kilograms of ground that has been sucked up and suspended. The Psychic Earth Mother, covered in dark gray and brilliance, revised in the pit formed in an instant. I saw this Psychic Earth Mother as a panic, underneath its naked body, all white essence metal, which looks extremely heavy and has an amazing thickness. Without the slightest hesitation, I saw that Weisuo was just eyes flash, and two black lights, a group of colored mucus and a golden crystal beam had already reached the top of Psychic Earth Mother. One of the two black lights is the black light column from the Black Bone Dark Lord, the other is the Antiquity Ominous Fire inspired by Weisuo, and the golden crystal beam is the golden shapeshift great art great treasure in the hands of Weisuo. At this time, except for Weisuo's mind-devouring bug, who did not know where to go, this level of attack was close to Weisuo's full blow. Weisuo is now only afraid of good, not afraid of evil. Seeing that Psychic Earth Mother is only trying to escape, he certainly does not want to kill this monster beast, but this monster beast is at level 7 mid-level. In Weisuo's prediction, such a level of attack should be able to withstand. If the attack is not enough, maybe the monster beast will run away. Hey! Sure enough, I saw Psychic Earth Mother in the middle of the surging sound. The yellow unicorn on the head was a yellow brilliance, and at the same time, it was suddenly on the round head. It became white and shiny, and a white light group emerged. Under the bursting sound of boom, I saw the Antiquity Ominous Fire and the golden crystal light beam in the forefront. It was almost the same as the powerful energy, and it was all broken up. The Black Bone Dark Lord's slightly slower black light beam hits the black-gray layer outside it, hitting the naked body with a tremor, and the black-gray layer of light is immediately dimmed. Pu. Then a bunch of mucus from Shapeshift Great Art was also wrapped around it. Weisuo didn't stop for a moment, and a few circles of blue light flashed in front of him and disappeared immediately. On Psychic Earth Mother's body, there are suddenly a few more baby's arm thickness, and the glittering copper ring comes out. Ka. A surging sound burst, and I saw a white light flashing on Psychic Earth Mother. All these copper rings broke off immediately. But at the same time, two black lights and a golden crystal light column came to it. Almost as much as the previous attack, Psychic Earth Mother was beaten hard to block the two black light and gold crystal beams, but there was another mucus of the Great Treasure Group Shapeshift Great Art. The great treasures of Shapeshift Great Art are sticky, and Fengxiao has been working on the black light beam of the mixed golden circle. This Psychic Earth Mother is in the time of these two breaths. Inside, only moved less than 5 or 6 feet. At this time, after watching the second group of Psychic Earth Mother's mucus hit, it has been stuck and not moving, and two black lights are emitted towards Psychic Earth Mother. Weisuo did not stimulate the gold this time. Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure, but the golden two-color magnificent light flashes, and his flying board flying sword was sacrificed. The powerful energy of this flying sword is much higher than the golden Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure. Hey, as soon as I felt the powerful energy of the flying sword, Psychic Earth Mother suddenly seemed to run away. Weisuo nodded and seemed to be asking Weisuo to kill himself and not to use such an abnormal, such a great treasure flying sword. Don't be afraid, we are not going to kill you, just want a little bit of yours. It's really unstoppable, but we have prepared a lot of spiritual herbs for you, and it should not only let you rebuild this truncated angle. Seeing Psychic Earth Mother's appearance, Fengxiao was somewhat intolerant. When he said this sentence, he made a look at Shifiking. The latter placed a cool side pose against Psychic Earth Mother, taking several spicy herbs from the treasure receiving pocket and throwing them away in front of Psychic Earth Mother. This Psychic Earth Mother, although the original rank is still on the Weisuo's Yang Rouge bird, it is not as spiritual as the Yang Rouge bird. I haven't done Shapeshift Great Art for a while. Just understand Fengxiao's words, but still, quote, cried, afraid to hate to look up. What happened, Weisuo? What is your means? /P. At this time, let Fengxiao and Zhangzhuayu, and even Shifiking, who has been making cool again, are a little dumbfounded. They saw that Psychic Earth Mother suddenly flashed a transparent shadow. Just as Psychic Earth Mother is able to withstand two black brilliance, this transparent shadow seems to be tied to the Psychic Earth Mother, and this stunned psychic Earth Mother is immediately as stiff and stiff. Taking advantage of this stiff, Wei Suo's flying sword was cut in the corner of psychic Earth Mother without any obstacles. Euro/P. Originally, it was restored to a cold face. Shi Feking, who was posing on the side, couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of surging sound. Look at Wei Suo's flying sword, which is very cumbersome, but it is extremely sharp when cut. Psychic Earth Mother's unicorn is so everything, it is like a crisp jade, it is cut a small section directly. No wonder you call domineering reverend, and you have a lot of tricks. Zhang Zhuai couldn't help but call a surging sound. Because they cut a psychic Earth Mother's one horn, the three of them saw the black magnificent light flashes in the hands of Wei Suo's, but they directly sent out a crystal-like black ghost claw, directly cutting the corner. Caught in the hands. Seeing Wei Suo succeeded, in Zhang Zhuai's exclamation called surging sound, Feng Xiao reached out and grabbed the blended golden-shaped great art. Hey! When psychic Earth Mother was cut, it was already a surging sound great treasure, and I felt that I must die. But at this moment, Wei Suo and Feng Xiao both received shapeshift great art great treasure, no longer hands-on, and found I am still alive, especially when I see a few artificial herbs in front of me. This psychic Earth Mother is a bit unreasonable. After a while, the psychic Earth Mother looked at Wei Suo and others with some confusion. The head turned to the spiritual herb and ordered a point toward Wei Suo and others. These spicy herbs are for you. Seeing psychic Earth Mother's appearance, Feng Xiao couldn't help but say a word. No, let Wei Suo and Zhang Zhuai almost fall to the ground. This psychic Earth Mother seems to understand this. Actually it is surging sound, a look of exultation, quickly throwing those few artificial herbs swallowed down. Then I looked at Wei Suo and others, and I didn't run away. I nodded from time to time, and I didn't want to eat it. I also wanted to ask Wei Suo and others to come back. No wonder classically said that this psychic Earth Mother is timid, but it is innately close to the cultivator. It is a killing beast. After seeing Feng Xiao and others scraping the treasure receiving pocket, I finally got something useful for this psychic Earth Mother. After feeding this psychic Earth Mother actually wants to come up. Weaving Wei Suo and others, I mean the meaning of intimacy. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 452. Chapter 452 Jade Talisman is on. It seems that in the future, Shapeshift Great Art will be set up to make a slave of the Slave Shift Great Art. Vertex Novels hit the novel. Looking at the shadow of Psychic Earth Mother, Zhang Zhuai said something depressed. Wei Suo also shook his head and was speechless. It turned out that this Psychic Earth Mother had an intimate look at them, but after Feng Xiao and others couldn't get what it was going to eat, the Psychic Earth Mother circled them twice. After that, I left immediately and went back to the old nest under the trench. Like Psychic Earth Mother, this kind of monster beast, although extremely timid, from just the lust shape, against the enemy, are only want to run, do not want to attack opponents, but if you can use the slave animal shapeshift great art control, then even if just as a defense, it is also very great treasure different, directly like a golden core stage great treasure cultivator helper. The role will not be in black bone dark under the Lord. However, Wei Suo now has the slave movement of sharpshift great art, which can only control a monster beast, and can only control the larval level monster beast. Even if this Psychic Earth Mother cooperates, there is no shapeshift great art to control this monster beast. Feng Xiao and others have got a lot of secret places from the caves of Miao Dan Reverend. Even Dao rank ancient great treasure has got a few pieces, but 3 people are also no one will be the slave shift great art, so now I can only watch this Psychic Earth Mother leave. Wei Suo was in Myriad Tomb City before, but she had already thought of using another slave movement, sharpshift great art, but the kind of slave movement, like the Wei Suo, is extremely rare. Buy it and buy it. 2. There are some popular in the market, and there are some squares of the monster beast that are used to cultivate the monster beast. It is used to increase the popularity of the monster beast. Like the kittens and puppies, the monster beast is mainly cultivator and plays the role of cultivator. This is actually the difference between Huisuo and Yang Rouge bird. The difference is that Yang Rouge bird is full of spirituality, can understand his meaning, and the great treasure most monster beast, but it is necessary to use the special square shapeshift great art to cultivate its intellect, let it understand the meaning of the master, before they can communicate, controls. Anyway, Myriad Tomb City was inspected for a while, and only the Spirit Beast Palace, where the female cultivator Xuanhuan, who impressed Huisuo, had the kind of slave movement, shapeshift great art. It is said that Spirit Beast Palace this kind of mind control slavery shapeshift great art is more than one, some low grade can only controls a monster beast, but is said to be the most powerful. It is possible to control 7 to 9 monster beast at the same time. It is said that almost absolutely great treasure most golden core great treasure cultivator to Spirit Beast Palace Lord Liruohe face, except Liruohe is now golden core second layer great treasure cultivator, the rest of the main reason is Liruohe will simultaneously control the bull's monster beast, and it is said that his body, also does have a few head rank very high monster beast. It is only the low-level slave movement shapeshift great art or the advanced slave movement shapeshift great art, the Spirit Beast Palace is extremely confidential, it is not passed on. And maybe it's because of the sect, which is dominated by controls monster beast. As long as there is the appearance of the slave shift great art, the Spirit Beast Palace will buy it out and put it in the scripture storage pavilion of the Spirit Beast Palace. Now I saw Psychic Earth Mother, such a piece of fat, and I ran away like this. Huisuo was silent and determined to wait until there was a chance to secretly catch a cultivator of a slave palace, even if the torture could not be advanced. The slave shift great art, also need to get a suitable low-level slave surgery shapeshift great art to stay on the body. Is this thing so heavy? Looking at Psychic Earth Mother's seemingly fat figure disappearing in sight, Zhang Huai was very curious to ask Huisuo for a Psychic Earth Mother's corner, but only took the one that Huisuo cut. Zhang Huai immediately gave a surprised surging sound. This yellow pointed corner, the material looks a bit similar to the agate, the weight is not heavy, but Zhang Huai pick up, one under no effort, almost directly cannot grasp, licked his feet. This little yellow sharp corner, it seems that there are at least 200-300 pounds. When looking at it carefully, Zhang Huai and Feng Xiao and Shi Fiqing saw that the yellow pointed corner was obviously thick before the cut, but now the yellow sharp corner is a little earth attribute spiritual. Chi's unique earthworm smell is not there, there is no brilliance on the outside, but there is a faint magic light flashes inside, like the innermost point of a small yellow candle, very strange. Then we are here to get this thing. Which city do you want to go to intercourse? After a rare look at the sharp corner of the Psychic Earth Mother, Huisuo and Feng Xiao and others talked about the next intercourse. Now the thing of Miao Dan Reverend has been divided up, but it is in the hands of some of my friends. Now, if you can get a piece of red sperm, it is not a small supplement. We got the news at an intercourse meeting in Fallen Moon City, but the Reverend Black Wolf's Dongfu is located, we have already inquired, just a secret place 2,000 miles from the east side of us. Place, we can go straight now, Feng Xiao explained with a smile. Next, Feng Xiao and Zhang Huai and Huisuo said about the lust of Reverend Black Wolf. Feng Xiao immediately presented a red lotus-shaped petal, a 2-footed long shapeshift great art. A little empty surging sound and Guanghua did not emit, but the speed was also very fast and went straight to Reverend Black Wolf's Dongfu. Net Hua Filian, this is the flying shift great art great treasure of the net lotus seed of the year, flying in the evening without surging sound, no light, also useful shapeshift great art great treasure. I knew that Miao Dan Reverend, the secret place, was almost intact, and with so many shapeshift great art great treasures, I had to come to it. I knew that you didn't go to Sky Valley that year, so come here and work hard. /P. Why are these guys exactly what you know? If you have nothing to do with you, kill directly. Shapeshift great art great treasure is robbed, and the mind-devouring bug that people use to feed you is good. Upon seeing Feng Zhao offering this lotus-shaped flapper shapeshift great art great treasure, green-robed old man, who had not issued a surging sound for a while, couldn't help but scream. When I heard green-robed old man call it, Wei Suo couldn't help but roll one's eyes. Because Wei Suo's cultivation base is now far beyond the expected fastest speed of green-robed old man now spends a lot of time during the day when origin chi comes out. Good secret place is some experience of green-robed old man. When Wei Suo is doing things outside, use secret place is great treasure, bad secret place is Wei Suo. From time to time, green-robed old man is speechless. A bit. Good things are robbed in their own hands, of course, this is a good thing, but no matter who kills the light, then the cultivation base is the best in the world, a friend does not, then Wei Suo is not boring to die. And Wei Suo is the most talked about. Wei Suo also knows that this shopaholic old man is just like the intercourse, if he has the ability to do it, he must not be able to do this kind of hand. Euro/P. The sky is getting darker. Outside of heaven's dome, the closer to the night, the more dangerous it is. But there are Wei Suo this cultivation base cultivator, plus 3 of them also have several Dao rank above shapeshift great art great treasure thought realm 5th layer cultivator, plus Feng Zhao of this piece called the Net Huafei Lotus's ancient great controls is indeed Sinorama does not show, flying in high altitude will hardly cause treasure monster attention, in the heaven's dome outside action, of course, is the safety factor is extremely high, even if met the level of a once in a century 8 monster beast, but also should have the ability to escape. It's here in the secret place. Feng Zhao and Wei Suo stopped at the top of a great treasure mountain when the sun was almost completely disappeared for several hours. The great treasure mountain with many towering ancient trees on it is at least 4 or 5 times taller than Wei Suo's little night mountain. If the cultivator tells us that the news is correct, Reverend Black Wolf's Dongfu is inside the waterfall. After a slight hover, Feng Zhao fell to a secret place in the east side of the mountainside. I saw the secret place on the mountainside. There is a secret place cliff, which has a wide stream of water, pouring down, resulting in a silver-like waterfall. Below the waterfall is a deep pool of hundreds of square feet. It looks the water is simmering, and it seems that there are some egrets staying, very immortal chi. Kid, this is what Reverend Black Wolf will be more than you choose. The feng shui in this place looks significantly better than your Xiaoyu mountain. With such a living water, you can also take advantage of a good water attribute shapeshift great art array. /P. And, I said it is good. This net Huafilian, at night, controls up from the distant secret place. It is a good thing to escape and yin. Green-robed old man couldn't help but nonsense at this time, and when he heard his 2 words, Wei Suo just snorted and didn't want to take care of the ghost man. Feng Zhao, a younger generation, heard that Reverend had a red sperm in his hand and wanted to use intercourse for something that would help improve the cultivation base or divine ability. There is exactly one such thing in the next hand, so I would like to see Reverend. After landing in front of the waterfall with a drop of about 70 feet, Feng Zhao and Wei Suo and others looked at each other and said it was very respectful. Hong. Great treasure. After a few breaths of time, in the middle of the waterfall, suddenly a water column with a height of 1 person surged out. One of the 2 eyebrows flew into the shackles, and some of the fierce black shirt cultivator appeared. Under Ni Kyokan, it is the disciple of Reverend Black Wolf. I saw that this black shirt cultivator looks like a 30-year-old, looks a little tall and thin, and looks at the face without a look of Feng Zhao and Wei Suo. The black shirt cultivator said awkwardly. After the identity, I asked directly, what do you want to get intercourse easy? What we brought is a corner of psychic Earth Mother. I don't know if it will meet Reverend's mind. Feng Zai about his hand to the shapeshift great art shirt with a wolf printed black shirt cultivator, and said hello. The corner of psychic Earth Mother, the black shirt cultivator, which had always been without a lust, obviously shook a bit and immediately said, "Show me." After Feng Zhao and Wei Suo and others looked at each other, they did not say much. They reached out and directly shot the corner of psychic Earth Mother in front of the black shirt cultivator. "You're enough," it the corner of psychic Earth Mother. Although it a little shorter, it no problem to use it for intercourse to change red sperm. He black shirt cultivator just twitched at the corner of the psychic Earth Mother, and then just looked at a few eyes, and immediately said such a sentence. "You wait for me for a while, I will go to report master, take what you want." After saying this, the black shirt cultivator was very intercourse credible and returned the corner of psychic Earth Mother to Feng Zhao, then turned and swept into the waterfall behind him. Just after the half stick of incense, the black shirt cultivator went back and there was some disguise on his face. It seemed that he had received some rewards. "This is the blood sperm you want. You can see if there is any problem then." The black shirt cultivator shook hands and threw a purple-red wooden box to Feng Zhao. But at this time, Wei Suo suddenly burst into shock, his face changed dramatically, and his eyes flashed an incredible look. A piece of something on his body, at this time, suddenly turned up. Jade talisman. At the moment, what suddenly appeared on his body was the fish-shaped communication jade talisman hanging around his waist. This piece is used by him and Nangong Yuking in Spirit Peak City. Since the return of Cloud Spirit Continent, Wei Suo has not found out the news of Nangong Yuking, but he has hanged this piece as a charm on his waist. In order to prevent this thing from shining, I did not notice it. But even Wei Suo has never held any hope that this piece of things will shine. Because Heavenly Profound Continent is such a great treasure, it is really awkward to have two people just in the hundreds of miles. But now, this thing suddenly lights up. Why is this not called Wei Suo? What happened? Next to Zhang's who I also immediately found Wei Suo's wrong, light surging sound asked. At this time, a surging sound of the bomb, above the waterfall, turned out to be a dazzling escape light. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 453. Chapter 453 Reverend Black Wolf. This escape light is golden yellow, violent, and a great treasure, straight into the upper half of the waterfall completely cut off, flying out, surging sound is amazing. The fascinating novels have suddenly appeared such a change, not to mention that Feng Zhao and Zhang Zhuayu are all in the same heart. Even Shi Fiking, who has been posing in a cold posture, is shocked. This amazing escape light turned out to be a golden pavilion with a 7-story look. The outside is golden and dazzling, making people look like the shapeshift great art, while the inside is bright and glamorous, with a brightly lit look. A melodious drumming surging sound is like a real pavilion flying in the air. But this pavilion exudes an amazing pressure, and the speed is extremely amazing. Just in the blink of an eye, a few people have not had time to look at it. This majestic macro great treasure's golden pavilion shapeshift great art has disappeared into the eyes of everyone. Wei Suo's face suddenly great treasure. Only after his divine consciousness swept away, it was impossible to sweep in. It is obvious that this extremely powerful flying spear shapeshift great art great treasure is a restrictions that prevent other cultivator divine consciousness from being explored. And the speed of this great retro treasure, the shapeshift great art great treasure, is almost twice as fast as his Chi fire boat. To know that Wei Suo's Chi fire boat is one of the fastest growing shapeshift great art great treasures in the dozens of cities near Cloud Spirit Continent. See Immortal City, at least Wei Suo in Cloud Spirit Continent. In Heavenly Profound Continent, I have never seen the shapeshift great art great treasure, which is faster than Chi fire boat. But at this moment, the speed of this flying spoon shift great art great treasure is almost twice as fast as Chi fire boat. This kind of idling is simply shocking. What made him even more grateful was that the light of the fish-shaped jade talisman on his waist was soon after the disappearance of the golden shift of the shape-shift great art great treasure. I disappeared. If the person who inspired this fish-shaped communication jade talisman is Nangong Yuking, then it is not that she has stopped the jade talisman, which is in the golden shift of the shape-shift great art great treasure, along with this golden pavilion. The Shapefli great art great treasure is gone. I glanced at the disappearing direction of the amazing golden escape light. Without a slight pause, Wei Suo, whose face was faint, immediately joined True Jade Talisman, who had been pinched in his hands. But Wei Suo concentrated on True Yuan. After stopping, his Jade Talisman was no longer changed. How, this red sperm should be no problem at this time. It was also a black shirt cultivator that was shocked by this amazing golden escape light. It was a bit impatient to see Feng Xiao and others not delaying the corner of Psychic Earth Mother. This fellow deist Feng Xiao nodded and was about to throw the corner of Psychic Earth Mother to the black shirt cultivator, but Wei Suo took the corner of Psychic Earth Mother in his hand and looked at the name. The black shirt cultivator arched his hand and asked calmly. I don't know if the fellow deist knows what kind of predecessor he left with this escape light. Is fellow deist your master Reverend Black Wolf? You are coming to intercourse, or come to inquire about the news? The black shirt cultivator sneered a surging sound, and looked at the Psychic Earth Mother in Wei Suo and Wei Suo with a deep look. He took his hands and said nothing. Obviously, the name of the cultivator at the moment is that you should know each other and take the corner of Psychic Earth Mother and you can leave. There is perhaps a great treasure relationship between this person and the person below. I wonder if I can help me in the next busy one and tell me the origin of this person, but Wei Suo is still looking at the black shirt cultivator. Do you want to marry me? Hearing Wei Suo, the black shirt cultivator suddenly looked at Wei Suo with a cold face. Would you not tell me the origin of this person? Don't you tell me the corner of Psychic Earth Mother. When I heard the black shirt cultivator, Feng Xiao's face suddenly slammed and opened the open mouth to say something, but Zhang Zhuayu immediately sneaked his shapeshift great art clothing. At this moment, Zhang Zhuayu has already seen that the escape light definitely has a great relationship with Wei Suo. In the end, just want fellow deist. By the way, give me a look at the origins of this person. For fellow deist, should it be just a matter of doing things, I saw Wei Suo's faceless lust saying, and if you really can help me, I will definitely appreciate it. If fellow deist just doesn't want to help me, then I'll also worry about fellow deist. Respect for a surging sound, ask for your master, fellow deist doesn't have to buckle one. I want to lick your hat on my head. Speaking of it, you are fangs, but I am too lazy to talk nonsense with you. The black shirt cultivator swears coldly, to tell you the truth, if you know each other, just give me the Psychic Earth Mother's corner intercourse, otherwise you will kill you and say it, you are greedy my red sperm. Not with us intercourse easy. And you still have great treasure. I want to see my teacher. What do you think you are? Do you think you are a golden core great treasure cultivator? What if I am the golden core great treasure cultivator? Wei Suo looked at the black shirt cultivator without a look of lust, and said slowly. You, the black shirt cultivator was about to say something, but suddenly his face changed dramatically, because at this time, a strong great treasure was emanating from Wei Suo's, and his heart was shocked and almost breathless. Come. You, senior predecessors, are you hiding the cultivation base? There are many rudeness below, please don't blame the seniors. The black shirt cultivator stayed a few times, only to look a little ugly back to the gods. Even the title has changed immediately. Is this person who left before you are the Reverend Black Wolf? Wei Suo did not ask this nonsense with the black shirt cultivator. This predecessor is not my teacher, just passing by. I am here to be a guest. Black shirt cultivator also not keep up appearances, to know that Wei Suo just instigated true UN and divine consciousness a pressure. He felt then his division pressure. Black Wolf also strong great treasure, and he now Wei Suo's origins know nothing. Golden core stage great treasure cultivator act is also reckless, if annoyed Weisuo, even if not to deal with him, directly on the roll red sperm and psychic earth. Mother's horn away, he also did not do shapeshift great art like Reverend Black Wolf intercourse to be treated, must suffer severe punishment. So after saying this at the moment, the black shirt cultivator immediately added some secret trepidation, it's just that the predecessor has a naked body, and I don't know. Can you tell me about your master and say that I have something to ask to see him? Seeing that this black shirt cultivator is very cooperative, Weisuo's tone is also slightly Microsoftized. Only then did he realize that with the speed of the escape light, it was definitely impossible to catch up. Now only from this Reverend Black Wolf, I heard about the escape light master. With the cultivation base of Nangong looking, it is impossible to be the master of the escape light. Please wait for the seniors to wait, the younger generation will inform my master. The black shirt cultivator did not dare to say such a sentence, and then immediately turned and plunged into the waterfall behind. I said, brother, what the hell is going on? As soon as the black shirt cultivator swept into the waterfall, Zhang Zhuai couldn't help but look at Weisuo. Before I had a good friend in Spirit Peak City, and I was also an intercourse lust with the same life as you. I used to contact Jade Talisman, but since a few years ago, it has completely lost the news. But only then, this newsletter Jade Talisman is bright again. Weisuo didn't hide anything. He handed the fish-shaped message Jade Talisman to Zhang Zhuai and looked at it. If nothing unexpected, my good friend must have been in the shapeshift great art great treasure. What a friend, isn't it a confidant? In front of us, what else is good? Zhang Zhuai listening to Weisuo, it is a very embarrassing he smile. How did you know that? Weisuo was a bit dumbfounded. How can men worry so much, like our men intercourse lust hard, and always feel that the other side has their own world? Maybe mixed outside is not bad, certainly will not bring this thing outside. Zhang Zhuai is he smile again. But I said that your confidant must also be very interested in your lust. Otherwise, there will be nothing to do, and it will also stimulate this communication Jade Talisman to try. This is every time it is inspired, it means that think of you once. You said that she is also absolutely impossible to know that you are near here. This, Weisuo was a little heartbeat and couldn't speak. This escape light is no small feat, and it can be so rampant and flying out. It seems to be awesome. It doesn't seem to care about the face of Reverend Black Wolf. The identity of this person should not be under Reverend Black Wolf, Feng Zhao said a little dignified. I don't know where fellow deist is, come to visit. At this time, a surging sound was heard from the waterfall. The whole waterfall suddenly became like a curtain, rolled up on both sides, and it was obvious that there was a water attribute shapeshift great art array around the waterfall. With this surging sound, a middle-aged cultivator wearing a black shapeshift great art suit, medium-sized, looking 40-year-old, with a blue-yellow face, appears to be facing Weisuo, and others arched their hands and said hello. The black spiritual chi outside the black shirt cultivator rolled in shape, forming a black wolf shape, as if there were many small black wolves around, obviously Reverend Black Wolf. In the next season, Li is also a rogue cultivator outside of Heaven's Dome. This time I wanted to be easy with fellow deist intercourse, just happened to meet some things, I would like to ask fellow deist to help. Weisuo also arched his hand and then reached out and put the corner of Psychic Earth Mother in front of Reverend Black Wolf. Thank you fellow deist for bringing such a good thing. The face of this Reverend Black Wolf is very kind. After naturally accepting the corner of Psychic Earth Mother, he smiled and said, I heard the little guy say, fellow deist G, you want to inquire about the news of the escape light. I would like to ask a question, what is your intention to ask about this escape light? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 454. Chapter 454 Extreme Pleasure Palace. I just happened to find that one of my friends in the early years was probably in the escape light. I want to ask Reverend about the control of this cultivator of the shapeshift great art great treasure. Wei Suo looked at the Reverend Black Wolf. For this Reverend Black Wolf, which is not familiar at all, he certainly can't say too much. From the point of view of the spiritual chi outside the Reverend Black Wolf, the Reverend Black Wolf is also the cultivator of the golden core first layer, but its shapeshift great art rank should not be low, it is the earth level. High level of the shapeshift great art. Is there a friend above this escape light? Reverend Black Wolf snorted a little and said, in this case, tell fellow deist should be fine. The cultivator with this escape light, called Reverend Extreme Happiness, is also a rogue cultivator. Reverend Extreme Happiness. Can fellow deist tell me more about the detailed lust shape of this cultivator, such as the cultivator's dongfu? Wei Suo looked at Reverend Black Wolf and said, or if fellow deist is a good friend with this person, can you introduce me to this person? I will also thank fellow deist in the next, and will not let fellow deist run away. If I were introduced, I am afraid that fellow deist may not see him, but if fellow deist really wants to see him, there is just a chance. Reverend Black Wolf thought about it and said, please fellow deists speak out. Wei Suo and Zhang Xuanhuan and others looked at each other and they all couldn't understand the meaning of this Reverend Black Wolf. Fellow deist G knows nothing about this Reverend Extreme Happiness, and certainly does not know that he is a golden core fourth layer cultivation base, and is already close to the establishment of a sect great treasure cultivator. Reverend Black Wolf smiled and said, golden core fourth layer's great treasure cultivator. As soon as I heard Reverend Black Wolf say, Wei Suo and others couldn't help but take a deep breath. It seems that fellow deist G is not in contact with other golden core cultivators on weekdays. Reverend Black Wolf followed with a bitter smile. Reverend Extreme Happiness is not a great treasure in the heavenly profound continent general cultivator, but the golden core cultivator in the golden core cultivator, especially the heavenly profound continent rogue cultivator. Among them, the name Surging Sound is extremely loud. It has built its own extreme pleasure palace in the Bliss Mountain, and there are already hundreds of disciples under the door. And his divine ability of golden core fourth layer, in the entire heavenly profound continent, is also a great existence. I am waiting for the ordinary golden core second layer cultivator. Naturally it is not qualified to be equal to his intercourse. Wei Suo looked at Reverend Black Wolf with some puzzles. What about today? Today I am just having some things he wants. He passed this secret place and it is easy to intercourse with me. It is not how much intercourse lust I have with him. I just met him before. Like him, the qualification is much higher than the golden core old devil. We are proud of the lust, and usually do not see foreigners, so even if I take fellow deist to his extreme pleasure palace, he will not be great treasure. Sell my face and say I see you. Reverend Black Wolf looked at Wei Suo. Golden core fourth layer's cultivation base. Wei Suo sighed and then asked, fellow deists said that there is just a chance at the moment. What is the chance? Between our golden core cultivators, every other time, we will also be sponsored by several golden core cultivators to hold intercourse. Just 3 days later, Reverend Extreme Happiness will receive a concubine from the Extreme Pleasure Palace and invite some golden core cultivators to attend. Among them, the golden core cultivator simply said that it would take an opportunity to come to an intercourse. Reverend Extreme Happiness also agreed, so this intercourse will be held at the Extreme Pleasure Palace. Reverend Black Wolf smiled and said, since fellow deist is already a golden core stage cultivator, as long as there are some valuable things on the body, you can go to the Extreme Pleasure Palace and join the intercourse. Nana, Zhang Xuanhuan immediately thought of a bad thought in her heart. She couldn't help but sound transmission in Wei Suo's ear. I said brother, if this Reverend Extreme Happiness is going to be yours this time. It's a miserable confidant. Wei Suo eyes flash, but the face is still moving, and the Reverend Black Wolf arched the hand. I don't know if Reverend Black Wolf will go to this intercourse. I was originally at the intercourse meeting, I wanted to exchange for a great treasure that was good for practice. Now I have got something like psychic Earth Mother. In order to avoid night dreams, I should immediately close the culture and not attend. Reverend Black Wolf smiled bitterly, but the news is that Reverend Extreme Happiness told me today that he invited me to attend his ceremony, even though he would have a concubine every 10 years, but he said if I don't go, I won't give him face. He is a golden core old devil. I don't dare to offend, so I don't have to go this time. A concubine will be taken every 10 years, then this Reverend Extreme Happiness, isn't there a concubine with a great treasure heap? Shi Zhongqing couldn't help but take such a sentence. I think so. Reverend Black Wolf said, Extreme Pleasure Palace is divided into two front and back palaces. The front palace is his disciple Doorman, is a male cultivator, and the Bliss Harem, all female cultivator, is his female disciple and his concubine. Said his female, the number of disciple and concubine added up, but far exceeds his male disciple. Zhang Zhuayu and Shi Zhongqing all had great treasures, and they were speechless. Listening to this Reverend Black Wolf, Nangong Yuking is really a lust-like look if it is really with this Reverend Extreme Happiness. Especially now Zhang Zhuayu looks like the worst thing is not Reverend Extreme Happiness. The target of Naong is Nangong Yuking, but Nangong Yuking has become a concubine of Reverend Extreme Happiness, then I don't know if Wei Suo wants to catch mad. So thinking of this secret place, Zhang Zhuayu couldn't help but ask, when was Reverend Extreme Happiness last time? The last time Naong was supposed to be a dozen years ago. When Reverend Black Wolf heard Zhang Zhuayu ask, he reacted a little, and his face suddenly became dignified. He looked at Wei Suo and said, fellow Daoist Ji, is the friend you said, is a female cultivator. Correct. Wei Suo didn't hide anything. He nodded and said, my friend is surnamed Nangong. I don't know Reverend Extreme Happiness. Did Reverend Black Wolf see a female cultivator with a tall? He was only in the shapeshift great art great treasure of his Extreme Pleasure Palace. He said a few words to me, and he didn't even show up. I naturally didn't see anyone around him. Reverend Black Wolf glanced at Wei Suo and said, but if fellow Daoist has a good impression of the female cultivator that you said, and that female cultivator has already followed Reverend Extreme Happiness, then fellow Daoist is better. If you die this hard, it is best not to participate in the intercourse. Because once there is a golden core cultivator, see him a concubine Jade Hand Two Eyes, and the concubine to that golden core cultivator smiled, Reverend Extreme Happiness will the concubine hands chopped down to the golden core cultivator, the golden core cultivator slightly unhappy, some cannot bear, refused to be, he found an excuse, said that the man did not give him face, was he killed directly. After the pause, Reverend Black Wolf added, like we talk about him behind his back, that is not a big deal, but although he has a lot of concubines, this is a great treasure, and he hates his side. What is the relationship between the female cultivator and other cultivators? If you go to the Extreme Pleasure Palace to attend the intercourse, you will see the female cultivator. If you have any real lust, even if you don't talk, just look at each other, maybe it will cause him extreme dissatisfaction and shoot against you. Is this Reverend Extreme Happiness so overbearing? Looking at his concubine's hand, his concubine just smiled at him, he cut down the concubine hands, the voice of Reverend Black Wolf just fell, and Zhang Zhuayu couldn't help but scream. This female cultivator is a friend who was born and died with me. Wei Suo had an undetectable cold flash in his eyes, but the look on his face remained the same, watching Reverend Black Wolf say seriously, since I learned that she might be at the Extreme Pleasure Palace. The news is naturally to see her. I would like to ask fellow Daoist to help me with this, and take me to this meeting. I am guaranteed by my life, and I will not be involved in fellow Daoist, whether it causes any disaster. If fellow Daoist doesn't feel comfortable, then outside the Extreme Pleasure Palace, I can pretend that I don't know fellow Daoist at all. Since fellow Daoist is so heavy, then there is no reason for this busy. Reverend Black Wolf looked at Wei Suo and sighed. I will bring you in, even if it causes a disaster. It will not involve me, however. When still hope fellow deist the situation, after all, there are many times, is the arm fail great treasure leg, such as Reverend Extreme the happiness cultivator. He has one or two friends, but also he DVNE ability close to the cultivator. We are simply not qualified to negotiate with them, unless you have anything on hand that he is abnormal heartbeat, in the intercourse and he put forward intercourse change, he might sell you a face, and in the intercourse, he is not very good attack. After all, it is not impossible to exchange great treasure for concubine or female disciple. Thanks to fellow deist for reminding me that I will be careful in the next place regardless of the outcome of the matter. It is lust who is owed to fellow deist. Wei Suo looked at Reverend Black Wolf and nodded. No wonder this Reverend Black Wolf has a lot of reputation among rogue cultivator. He and Wei Suo didn't have any intercourse lust before. It can be done, and it's really good. In this case, if fellow deist doesn't dismiss it, I will retreat in my cave in the next 2 days, saving me from going back and forth. When we get off, we will go to the Extreme Pleasure Palace. Reverend Black Wolf great treasure is also very pleasing to see Wei Suo, starting the heart of the intercourse, invited. Since fellow deists said so, it's welcome. Wei Suo agreed to it and glanced at Zhang Xuanhuan and others around him and asked, like a few of my friends, can they participate in this intercourse? This intercourse is easy to attend. It is necessary to participate in the Golden Core stage Great Treasure Cultivator, but they simply cannot enter. Reverend Black Wolf apologized to Wei Suo and others, saying, but they can stay in my cave for 2 days. When we leave, they will leave again. What do you mean? Wei Suo looked at Zhang Xuanhuan and others. Thanks to Reverend, let's take a look at Reverend's cave house. After looking at each other, the 3 men immediately agreed. In fact, for a rogue cultivator, they are not interested in great treasure. Because Reverend Black Wolf will definitely not show them important places. But the 3 accompanied Wei Suo in this secret place, but it was a good care, and it was safer for Wei Suo. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 455. Gem Earth Dragon's Feces. The baby you said is this pile of feces. The young monk Huangshan froze for a moment. Nonsense. You burned my pile of babies. What should you do? Middle-aged monk in black robe with a face full of flesh said angrily. Wei Suo's eyes flickered, but he walked towards the 2 men quietly. The young monk in the yellow shirt looked sullen. It seemed that the middle-aged monk in black robe had some problems with his head. This pile of treasures, but I bought it with 500 pieces of spirit stones. It was hard to buy them. The black robe monk with a face of flesh was ignorant and then shouted, if you don't pay 500 pieces of spirit stones, if she gave it to me, don't blame me for being rude to you. 500 pieces of spirit stone. Hearing the words of the middle-aged monk in black robe, the young monk in yellow shirt suddenly reacted, and his eyes flashed with rage. Since it is your thing, how can you just let it go? In the middle of the road. That's when I happen to be buying another thing with this Taoist friend, and I haven't had time to put this baby away. The middle-aged black robe sneered. Yes, I can testify about this. Indeed it is a grey-robed dwarf melon monk next to the middle-aged monk in black robe immediately nodded and responded. The young monk in yellow shirt had a meal. His face was blue and white. He said in a deep voice, even if you say that this pile of things is too late for you to take away and put in the road. But just a pile of excrement, it will cost 500. Spirit stone, is it 2 lions' mouth? Why, don't you think I'm wrong with you? The middle-aged monk in black robe immediately sighed and sneered, this pile of babies may not be of any use to others, but to me, it is very useful. While saying this, the middle-aged monk in a black robe with a fleshy face slapped on a slave bag around his waist. Under the yellow light, a cyan goat looks, but there are several prominent bone spurs on the back, and the monster with a strong wind and spirit is revealed. Qinggangling sheep, The young monk in yellow shirt suddenly changed his face when he saw this monster that was about the size of an ordinary goat. Boy, since you know that my monster is Qinggangling sheep, then you should also treat the feces of the gem ground dragon to be like the magic pill to Qinggangling sheep, which can make my Qinggangling sheep a lot of strength has increased, said the middle-aged monk in black robe, looking at the young monk in yellow shirt with a blank expression. Why, don't you want to provide compensation? Deo friends, you have to judge. Looking at the yellow shirt young monk who didn't speak for a while, the middle-aged black robe sneered again and immediately said this sentence. Why, in Wanzhou city, does anyone dare to be so overbearing, and break the other's baby without compensation? The three monks all stepped forward and surrounded the young monk with a yellow face in the middle. The young monk in the yellow shirt was angry, but he hung his head and silently took out the bag of spirit stones. I said, this Taoist friend, this matter seems a bit unfair, seeing that the young monk in yellow shirt would have to swallow up and pull out 500 spirit stones. At this time, he kept watching the lively Wei quietly beside him. Suo, but hey, smile, patted the white jade fan in his hand, said. Injustice. The middle-aged monk in a black robe with a fleshy face immediately flashed his head, and turned his head to see that there was a young man with a pale jade fan in his hands holding a white jade fan. It's killing to pay for my life and paying back my debts, but I don't think there is anything unfair about this matter. The middle-aged black robe immediately stared at Wei Suo with an implicit threat. The other three monks also narrowed their eyes slightly. You should understand that you are a kid, this is not the place for you to mess around. Where? This matter is very unfair, but Wei Suo said very seriously that he didn't see the eyes of several people at all. Then I want to see if there is any injustice. The middle-aged monk in black robe suddenly sneered. How much is 500 inferior spirit stones? Wei Suo said seriously. The feces of the gem earth dragon are worth at least 800 inferior spirit stones for monks with Qinggang spirit sheep. Such things are useful. As for the monks, it's not as much as the spirit stone you bought, it's worth as much as the spirit stone. The monk I have seen before with such monsters as Qinggang spirit sheep, finally found a monk with a gem earth dragon to request a transaction. A monk with a gem earth dragon asks for at least 800 inferior spirit stones. Know that this is stool, not something else. The stool is not what you want to sell, you can sell it if you want to buy it. What? Hearing Wei Suo's words, the young monk in yellow shirt who looked at Wei Suo with gratitude suddenly became more ugly. Dao said that the stool is not what you want to sell, you can sell it if you want to buy it. And the middle-aged monk in a black robe with a face full of flesh heard Wei Suo said, his face suddenly slowed down, said, but I also it's not difficult for people to speak, as long as 500 grades of spirit stones are enough. The young monk in the yellow shirt didn't say anything at all, and directly took out 500 inferior spirit stones. Wait. My words haven't been finished yet, but Wei Suo stopped the white jade fan in the hand of the young monk in the yellow shirt, preventing him from handing the spirit stone to the black robed middle-aged monk. If it is really the feces of the gem earth dragon, then it is not difficult for the Taoist to ask for these 500 spirit stones. It is just that the Taoist is mistaken, it seems that it is not the feces of the gem earth dragon. Isn't it the feces of the gem earth dragon? The middle-aged monk in black robe and the young monk in yellow shirt were shocked. Immediately, the middle-aged monk in a black robe's face sank immediately. Just now you all see clearly, this pile of dung shimmers in blue, not the dung of the gem earth dragon, or what? Does the daddy want to say that I was wrong with him? Is it? Wei Suo asked with a chuckle, this Taoist, if I know well, the appearance of an adult gem earth dragon is like a large earthworm, but the surface is covered with transparent gems, like a pimple, very bright. It is a middle level monster, but it is very rare. The body is about 1 foot long, and the child's arm is thin and thick. Apart from this gem earth dragon, there should be no other gem earth dragon. Nonsense, what kind of monster is this gem earth dragon? And the monks of the entire longevity city, I am afraid no one does not know. Of course, the gem earth dragon is only of this kind. The black robe middle-aged monk sneered, you still need you. Come to show off your knowledge. If it's okay, just look at the book and just leave me tight, otherwise I'm in no mood to lie to you here. The jewel earth dragon's eyes are bigger than the body, and constipation is not too light. Hearing the middle-aged monk in black robe said, Wei Suo smiled, and nodded toward the ground. Otherwise the body of the gem earth dragon has only the thickness of the child's arm. How can it be drawn that the stool with the diameter of the adult's arm comes out? Poof! The young monk in the yellow shirt with a very ugly face couldn't help laughing when he looked at the place that Wei Suo had ordered. It turned out that the group of baby had already been turned into fly ash by his fire technique. But there was still a blue plate of incense on the ground. This pile of baby is blue, but it is not false, and the middle-aged monk in black robe did not talk nonsense. However, judging from the stamps left behind, all of these lines are as thick as human arms. A figure is only 1 foot long, and the body has only the thickness of the child's arm to pull out such a thing. It is indeed larger than the ability of the Jindan 5 monks. After the middle-aged monk in a black robe stayed for a moment, he even tore his face, and his face was completely gloomy. Boy, it seems that you deliberately demolished my desk. The weather seems a bit boring today. I wonder if it would be cooler to use this thing to get some wind out, or else use this thing to get some moisture. Or simply use this ice thing, it's a little bit cooler at this time. Wei Suo seemed to have never heard the person's words, and while talking to himself, he took out one thing at a time. The middle-aged monk in black robe and the surrounding monks immediately turned pale. All the things taken out by Wei Suo are the magic weapons of the high order of the spirit order. In exchange, at least 5 pieces of spirit-level offensive magic weapons and 3 pieces of defensive magic weapons were obtained from Nebeo. The magic weapon of the top grade of the spirit order is already an incredible magic weapon in the eyes of the monks who divide the 4 to 5 levels of thinking, not to mention in the eyes of these monks who divide the 1st and 4th levels of the weak. What's more, Wei Suo also took out so many pieces. To fight really, it is estimated that Wei Suo only has to use half of these things, which is enough to deal with them. Ah! What did you just say? I just thought the weather was hot and I didn't pay attention to hear it. After so many magic weapons were continuously obtained from the Nebeo capsule in exchange for it, Wei Suo didn't seem to have heard the black. The middle-aged monk in robe looked threatened, looking at the middle-aged monk in black robe and said, Ah! I didn't say anything. I said it might be that I was deceived. That man didn't give me the feces of the gem earth dragon. This liar, I asked him to settle the bill. The middle-aged black robe was immediately shameless. Having said this, he ran away. We will also help you find him to settle the accounts. Several monks around disappeared quickly. Poof! The young monk in yellow shirt couldn't help laughing again. Immediately, the young monk in yellow shirt saluted Wei Suo immediately and said, Thank you for your help. You don't have to be polite. Wei Suo smiled, but handed a piece of spirit-level high-grade offensive magic weapon and a piece of spirit-level high-grade defensive magic weapon to the young monk of the yellow shirt. Senior, what do you mean? The young monk in yellow shirt suddenly froze. If I remember correctly, you are called Zhang Fenji. Wei Suo smiled and looked at the young monk in yellow shirt. You may not remember me, but you helped me a few years ago. Busy. These 2 things are my thanks to you for the day. Has helped you a few years ago. The young monk in yellow shirt froze for a moment, looking very puzzled. Anyway, these 2 things, you take it first. If you have time, I can tell you in detail, Wei Suo said with a smile. Then I'm disrespectful. The young monk Huang Shan hesitated a little, and received 2 magic weapons, but said a little embarrassedly, It's just that I'm in a hurry, and I ask someone to be rushed. Since that is the case, you just have to go to Zhangdao first. It will be fine to see you again in the future, and I will talk to you again. Wei Suo immediately arched his hand indifferently. I don't know how to call your friends. The young monk in yellow shirt turned around and was about to leave in a hurry, but after turning around, he remembered something similar and asked again. In the next season Wei Suo's eyes flashed. Ji Daiyu, I will definitely remember it next time, and I will never forget Daiyu next time. After saying this seriously, the young monk in yellow shirt left in a hurry. I didn't expect to meet him occasionally in this place. Looking at the back of the young monk in yellow shirt, Wei Suo couldn't help but smile slightly. But he also thought for a long time, only to think where he had seen this person. This person was when he went to 7 Stars City and saw the heart with orchids. He came to remind him not to look directly at the heart with orchids, otherwise it would anger the monk with heart. At that time, the monk told him that his name was Zhang Fenji. At that time, Wei Suo thought that the monk was just like him, and said a pseudonym. But then I heard that some of his friends also called him Zhang Fenji, only to realize that it was indeed his real name. The monk treated him very sincerely, and he was very impressed. At the time, he kindly reminded Wei Suo not to look straight at the heart. Of course, it was only a trivial matter, and he certainly did not remember it, but this matter was not necessarily a trivial matter for Wei Suo, because if it really angered the heart there is Lan, maybe Wei Suo will get into big trouble, and there is no such cultivation at all. This person is worth seeing in Wei Suo, so if there are many spirit-level magic weapons on his body, Wei Suo who regards this person as a friend can be said to be extremely extravagant. Go out. And for people like Wei Suo who hadn't had many friends, it was also a great pleasure to meet a good old friend. When I saw this wind wing in the 7 Star City on that day, Wei Suo was only 3 times a week, and Zhang Fenji was only 2 times a week. At this time, Zhang Fenji was also repaired on a weekly basis. Compared with ordinary monks, the speed is not slow. After a slight smile, recalling the situation in the 7 Star City that day, Wei Suo continued to walk towards the Fangshi in front. This man doesn't look like an ordinary monk either. There are so many magical items of the highest spirit level on my body. I gave them 2 pieces at once. I just casually looked at the face of a new disciple and refined this Xuanhuan mask according to his face. The disciple really seemed to be called Zhang Fenji, and it seemed that he was indeed Zhang Fenji's deceased person. So if I find anything, I'll leave as soon as possible. What Wei Suo did not know was that after the young monk in the yellow shirt hurriedly left the market, he immediately went to a teleportation circle in the Spirit Beast City. After paying the fee, he immediately moved from the teleportation circle at a distance. Wanzhou City's recent teleportation circle in Tianji City appeared. But when the young monk in yellow shirt muttered to himself, the voice completely changed. It was not a man's voice at all, but a very nice female monk's voice.